all in his new memoir, House of Nails.
If you're going to write a book, especially about your life, you have to be willing and able to put it at all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Why did you take steroids?
I physically didn't have the ability to withstand the schedule. I was too weak. I didn't figure out how to hit. I mean, no one had to teach me how to hit. But the bat started feeling like a telephone pole. Money was my drug. It became my drug. I wanted more. And so I got some reality real quick, you know?
Plus,
I mean, I'm serious. I watch baseball now, and I think they have milk and cookies in the clubhouse, you know?
It's all next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. My special guest is Lenny Dykstra, the former Major League Baseball All-Star center fielder. Lenny, known to many as Nails, took home a World Series championship in 1986. What a year with the famed New York Mets. Made a run to the World Series again in '93 with the Phillies when my team lost. He is now opening up about the highs and lows of his life on and off the field in his new book, House of Nails, a memoir of life on the edge, about which Stephen King said, tough, straight, upsetting, and strangely beautiful. One of the best sports autobiographies I have ever read. Strangely beautiful, Lenny.
It makes kind of sense because, first of all, it's an honor to be with you. I mean,
thank you, Lenny.
To be with a legend, so I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you.
Yeah, and then Stephen King, who says that's an honor and a privilege in and of itself, because he's just like you're the best at what you do, he's the best at what he does. So, as you can tell, I only deal with whales. I only deal with the best.
All right, your book just made the New York Times bestseller list. Why did you write it?
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I was asked by a lot of people to write my book before, and I was never really ready to put it all out there. And if you're going to write a book, especially about your life, you have to be willing and able to put it at all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. So the last part of my life, I was in this hotel that the federal government owns, and they put me in there, prison. 3 meals a day, health care, but it was kind of constricted. So what happens in prison is you have a lot of time to think, and that's not good. Because what you do is you reflect on things that you think you had it all figured out, you think you were doing okay, but maybe you weren't. And so, again, so when I got out, I didn't write the book right when I got out. I mean, I just got off probation. I waited 3 years. I didn't do like a lot of people. I found God, and I'm great now. I mean, I haven't found God. I'm looking. Where is he? I don't know how that works, but I know one thing. I got the time behind me, and so I wrote this book because, and at first I talked to my family, though. I wanted them to know there were going to be some things come out that weren't going to be pretty.
You let it all out, right?
Yeah, I let it all out. I mean,
you were going to work with a writer, and then decided to do it yourself because?
Yeah. Well, my writer, it wasn't his fault. He couldn't write in my voice. I mean, God himself couldn't write in my voice.
Peter Golenbeck.
Yeah.
I know Peter.
Peter's a good guy. He loves you.
Wrote a lot of sports books.
Yeah, but see, he couldn't, if I'm going to hang my what out there, I'm going to make sure that I know.
It's your voice.
It's my voice. So
why did you, and at first it always amazed me, why did you take steroids?
Well,
to be a better player?
Actually, that's a great question, and I have actually an answer that it'll make sense to people. So I'm 5'9", I'm 160, and the thing about professional baseball, people don't really understand the fact that it's not just putting on a uniform playing a baseball game. It's 6 months of grinding, and every day. And so I physically didn't have the ability to withstand the schedule. I was too weak. I didn't figure out how to hit. I mean, no one had to teach me how to hit. But the bat started feeling like a telephone pole. So what happened in '89 when I got traded to the Phillies, they made me the everyday center fielder, and I timbered. And so after the season, the general manager said, look, 1990, you're going to be our guy. Don't worry. You'll be in the lineup every day. So I know in that offseason that I have got to figure out a way where I can stay strong or stay durable so I can maintain. Because, see, like I said, so I can last. So it's a funny story because, remember, this is way before steroids weren't even illegal. Yeah, so I'm living in Mississippi, and the people do live there.
I heard.
Yeah, and so I went to the Yellow Pages. I just found a doctor, and I went and I explained to him. I didn't know what he was going to give me. I said, look, I got a chance to make $30 million. Meaning, there's only 30 people in the world that can play center field for a major league team, because there's 30 teams, and we're not talking about from New York, from California. No, talking about Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, China, Japan. So this opportunity is rare. So I said to him, I said, I don't need you to teach me how to hit. I can hit. I need something where I can stay in position to succeed as we get further down the line.
162.
So, right. So he says, okay, I got you. So he writes me a prescription called for Decadurabolin, which is a steroid. And I go to Rite Aid, and he says, when you get back, when you get I'll show you how to do it. And I said, okay. So I get in line, they give it to me, and I walk back in his office, and there was waiting a harpoon for me. I mean, it's big. It's a big needle. And so he loads it up, and he shows me how to do it. Boom. I start working out. Now, 90 that season, I am on the cover of Sports Illustrated, hitting 400 in June. I make the All-Star team, and I lead the league in hits. Coincidence?
Steroid.
I think not. And I told baseball about this too, because they make it, look, anytime money's involved, a lot of money, it makes you do things you might not do.
Do you attack those who used it when it was made illegal?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't, but now you have to be stupid to use it because you're gone. Now there's such a black mark against you. If they catch you now, they'll release you. So the drugs are pretty much out of the game now.
Do you ever regret taking them?
I don't, because you know why? I wouldn't have been able to support my family the way I was able to if I didn't, because I wouldn't have been able to play. I mean, because the guy next to me, he's taking them, and I physically couldn't withstand the schedule to be an everyday player, So when I say regret, I'm not proud of it. I'm not telling kids to do it. But I did what I had to do.
You said you could always hit. This goes back to high school?
Well, see, my gift was because my whole life was about getting out of the middle. Like, I had one friend in high school. You know why? Just because I had to have someone to play catch with. I never went to a dance. I never went to a party. I was on a mission, okay?
You could hit.
To get out of the middle, and baseball was my gift. So, and so I knew I was going to play in the big league.
Were you a great Little League player?
Yeah.
More with Lenny Dykstra, including a look back at the 1986 World Series Championship with the Mets when we come back. Lenny Dykstra is the guest. The book, A Memoir of Life on the Edge. House of Nails is the title. Jack Nicholson said, as far as sports autobiographies go, what can I say? Nails nailed it. All right, 1986, the Mets, what a World Series. What a championship playoff run. You game 3, you hit a walk-off home run.
Yeah.
What was that like, running around the bases?
I'll tell you, people ask me that, and it's hard to explain what it was like, because it was almost like when you're a kid and you're dreaming about being a big league player, and like it was like a dream. I mean, I was kind of like floating around the bases, and my team's waiting for me at home plate, and that legitimately put me on the map, and again, life is all about timing, and so I've always come up big when the situation needed.
But you've had your downs too, and you write about them.
Yeah, I have, so that mentality that I had in baseball, do whatever I have to do, win at all costs, and you take that mentality out to the normal world, and I made a lot of money. In fact, I made more money off the field than I made on the field. But when you do it for the love of money and you run over people, and maybe you have too many balls in the air, so I have to take kind of ownership for that.
Yeah.
Because like somebody says, well, I can blame 2008 when everything crashed, but I didn't have to be so spread out, so I was money was my drug. It became my drug. I wanted more. And so I got some reality real quick,
Where were you when the ball went through Buckner's legs?
I was on the bench, and there was 2 outs,
right, and
nobody on, and I'm sitting next to Howard Johnson, and I said, I can't believe we're going to lose the World Series, because it's 2-0, and then a bloop, and then a bloop, and then I'm honest with you, Game 7, I don't even remember. We knew we were going to win Game 7. It wasn't even an issue. But the thing about Buckner, see, again, when you do things the right way, they're done right. That's the way you should. When you do things wrong, so here's what happened. McNamara, the manager, he got feelings involved. See, he always took Buckner out.
Put Stevenson in.
Exactly, but because Buckner had a long career, he wanted him to be on the field, for the World Series, and so he crossed the line and put personal in business, and look what happened.
Wow, you were a cult hero. What was it like to go to Philadelphia, the toughest sports town in America, where they once said they would boo a cure for cancer, where they once threw snowballs at Santa Claus when the Eagles were playing. Did you enjoy Philly?
I loved it, man. I was just there, and me and the fans identified. And so remember, so when I was with the Mets, I was like the younger player, like Keith Hernandez and like Gary Carter. Those were the guys that. So when I got to Philly, I was kind of like the guy, and plus I was loaded up on the juice. So I mean, I was walking around like, you know, like, you want some of this? And so our whole team was, and we flipped that city upside down. And that is a city that fans did not want to come to. They didn't. Our opponents did not want to play there.
But you liked it at home.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the turf was brutal, but yeah, I loved it at home because, like, the Philly fans. Here's what they'll do: the guy on second base, nobody out, hitter hits the ball to the right side, gets him over. They'll clap. They know the game. They'll also punish you if you play wrong. But if you hustle and you play right, they're not going to bury you.
Some players like to play on the road. They like to give it to the home team.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy that?
That was my favorite part, you know.
Lenny, were you always a rogue? Were you always going against the grain?
Yeah. You know what I always have been? I've always been. I find a way to win. Meaning, like, I like to win before the game starts, or I don't play. See, meaning, so, you know, if I have to outwork somebody around, like, I stay in my areas that I'm good at. And what kind of happened with afterwards, I started getting in areas where I wasn't too good at. And so when you start doing that, something goes wrong. And see, for me, it's a typical of my life. I'm either flying in my own private plane or I'm in the cooler, you know? There's no middle. No middle.
After the break, Lenny on the current state of baseball. His next move, the book is Lenny Dykstra, A Memoir of Life on the Edge, House of Nails. We'll be right back. Lenny Dykstra's new book, it's on the New York Times bestseller list. It's going to roll to the top 2 because he is quite a character. He's quite a star and quite a life. What went wrong? Why did you go to jail?
I went to jail. No, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses and say I shouldn't have went or I could have went. What I'm going to tell you is that I'll let the readers decide what was just and if what happened to me was just. But I am going to say this. I have to take ownership for the fact that I put myself in position. You know that saying, you fly too close to the sun, you get burned and you fall to the ground? So by me wanting more and more and more, I put myself in a position to go to jail.
Did you hurt some people?
Well, not physically, you know.
No, financially?
Not really financially, really, either. I mean, the little things, I mean, the government took $60 million from me, but that's not neither here nor there. The people I hurt the most, and something that I think about every day, was my family. See, that hurts, you know.
You had a scheme to blackmail umpires. You paid a private detective to spy on umpires so you would get an edge?
Well, spying is better, not so much blackmail. Just, well, I think about it, like, the catchers are brown-nosing the umpires, and, like, I can't brown-nose anyone. So instead of, like, saying, hey, how are you doing? Hey, how are you doing? I just cut through and clarify. I mean, yeah, I had people, their blood is just as red as ours. And I realized at an early age that the umpires controlled my life. Because remember, I didn't lead the National League in hits 2 years because I was the best hitter. Not at all. I led because I knew the situations, meaning I know what 1-0 count, what's going to happen, 0-1, 2-1. So I was I was a percentage player, and I played the game off the scoreboard the right way. And see, today, they don't play the right way, and I have a problem with that.
What do they do today? Well,
they're selfish. See, today they're just hacking, and they're not. So, for instance, when you hit, you get 3 strikes for a reason. The game's hard. So if you're not guessing the first 2, you're just, meaning players are selfish. Like in the 9th inning, they'll be down 2 runs. You'll see a guy swing at the first pitch. Well, I mean, you know, even if you hit it and you're the best hitter, there's a 70% chance you're going to make it out. So to me, again, that's the kind of stuff when I played, we'd be fighting. You know, like you talk to the other team, we're fighting. You know, now it's like they're all having brunch together.
Yeah. You never talked to opposing players.
No, talk to them. We had one thing when we played. We're going to go to their house, take their money, and do their women.
What current players are you fond of?
Well, I like this Bryce Harper, who the guy gets in trouble for saying we need more fun in the game. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm serious. I watch baseball now, and I think they have milk and cookies in the clubhouse, you know? Like, really? What's going on? Like, they have to market their players better, and now you can't even slide, I don't think, or something, or you can't put
slide into the player.
And we're still in the business of entertainment. See, I knew early on that I was in the business to put people in the seats. So what I would do when I got done playing, every night I had my own little ritual, and I'd go sit in front of my locker for 1 minute by myself, and I'd say, if I were a fan, would I have paid money to watch me play tonight? And that's how I would judge myself, you know? And I don't think the players get that, you know?
So you thought about?
Oh yeah, everything I did was about entertaining, you know, putting people in the seats, you know, and winning. You entertain by winning. I mean, I was a winning player. I'm not going to like brag, but it's not a coincidence that when I went to the Phillies, we went from last to first. Yeah. I mean, but like I said, it's that mentality though that took me from flying in my own Gulfstream around the world to prison.
But you blew it all too.
Well, that's a tough pill to swallow. And I swallow a lot of pills, by the way. But in reality, yeah, I did. You know why? Because I was fearless. I never lost. I mean, in fact, no one was getting, anyone in my way, I was mown down, okay? Now, you can do that until you get, like, up against this big group called the federal government.
I've heard.
You don't matter, like, really? Like, my attorney says you're being indicted. I was like, what's that? And he said, well, I'll show you. And I went, the United States of America versus Lenny Dykstra. I mean, I said, like the country? Like, the most powerful country in the world? I mean, so all I can say to people out there, don't fight the feds.
Were you addicted to drugs?
I got hooked on pain pills when I was playing because I've always been a guy, Larry, that's been able to, like, be a few steps ahead of everyone. So I would see my teammates drinking 18 beers after a game to get their pain away. And like, I'm a leadoff hitter, and I couldn't, so I'd say to the trainer, hey, can you give me something? Like, I don't have, so he gave me one pill. You know, one Vicodin, one drink. I felt great, man. Next day, I thought I reinvented the wheel. And I said, I got him again. I figured it out. Fast forward, okay, and I'm taking 30 or 40 a day, and I could not get off them.
How did you get off?
I'll tell you how I got off. I met a brilliant doctor in Philadelphia named Dr. Berman, who told me about a procedure in Israel. And so I was the second patient in the world to do what's now out there called rapid detox. So he said, there is something. I told him, I can't live like this anymore, being controlled by a pill. And I said, there's got to be something else. And he said, well, there is, but he said, there's some problems. I said, what? He says, it's in Israel. I said, wait a second, isn't that where they're blowing up everyone? Like, this is 1998. He said, well, and I said, well, what else? He said, well, you'd be the second patient in the world to do it. Well, I said, did the first one live? I mean, he said, yeah. I said, okay, we're good. And what else? He said, it'd be 250 grand. The money didn't matter. So I said, you know what, let me see, killing people, second patient, I'm doing it.
And what'd they do?
So I went there alone, and what they did is they put me to sleep for 10 hours, and they suck all the opiates out of you with like this medicine. And it was actually the scariest thing I've ever went through. I mean, I've only cried twice in my life. Once was when, like, my mom wouldn't let me play in a Little League game because I had a high fever. Because, like, you know, when my dad used to spank me, I used to say, are you done yet, Dad? Like, just let me know when you're done. Meaning, but when I got to this doctor's office, I was so scared and emotional, I kind of broke down and I was embarrassed. And this doctor was smoking a cigarette, had scars all over him. And he came up and he pinned me against the wall and he said, I'm not going to let you die. And it was, I mean, remember, I'm normal. Like, when I say normal, like, I don't believe in ghosts, I'm not afraid of the dark, I'm not into weird. Like, this guy had some kind of power, man. So I nicknamed him Dr. God.
You never took again?
Opiates, no. I see an opiate now, they make me sick. But it was the hardest thing to get off, and there's an epidemic out there.
I know. In our final moments, Nails is going to take your questions. Stay with us. The book is House of Nails. Great picture on the back of Lenny Dykstra, at peace, lying in a bed at the Ritz Hotel in Paris. I have been at the Ritz. Pretty good hotel.
I don't know about peace. I think I got lured into one of them French whorehouses, man.
We have some viewer questions for you. Bullet Stringer on Twitter, do you ever watch old replays of your games?
Sometimes with my kids, you know, they'll want to watch them, but I kind of don't live back there. Like,
what emotions are tapped as you go from being an athlete prone to winning to an athlete prone to injury?
That's one of the hardest things to deal with. So where does that lead? That leads to taking drugs. Because if you're not on the field, you can't play. Someone else will take your job. At
Aaron JE12 on Twitter, I'm listening to Kirk Minahan's podcast. I was wondering why you bailed out.
Because he wanted to ask questions that had nothing to do with the book and just stupid stuff. So, like I said, you want to ask a relevant question to the book, I'll answer. If you don't, I'm going to hang up.
At JLWC 86, are you political? What do you make of this current campaign?
Well, unfortunately, the federal government took my right away. I
can't vote.
I haven't been following it. So that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it.
Corey, on the Larry King Now blog, you talk about your friendship with Charlie Sheen in the book. What's the current status of that friendship? Do you still talk? How's he doing?
No, we don't. Unfortunately, we don't. And, you know, it's sad. It's a situation where, you know, who's become my idol, Larry Winokur, how I got here to you through BWR. When Charlie was ready to go public, he was ready. Okay, this was a year before he was forced to go public. I said, look, man, like, you can get ahead of this thing. I'll get Magic Johnson to help, and I'll find the best guy. So I hunted down, Larry Winokur's name kept coming up. So Larry, we were 1 hour away. He was on his way to his house to Charlie to take this on in his terms and his way, and his people talked him out of it. And then from that day, we haven't talked. I mean, and then again, it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. Yeah. Well, he got no money. I mean, he was being extorted for like $1 million a month, and it was actually one of the saddest. Because see, Charlie's a great guy when he's off the. Yeah. Like, he's smart and he's brilliant, but the thing about it is like there's something much deeper there, and I knew it. And when he told me about it, and I said, "How long have you had like this?" You know, and he said 5 years. I said, "Wow, man." So you know, and it was very emotional, and so I tried to, you know, I switched the conversation up. I said, "Charlie, like, think about it, bro. Like, if they took a poll, like, of people and what male actor in Hollywood would most likely have HIV, you'd win in a landslide. So, and you're on the internet." I said, "Get ahead of this thing and take charge. You can help people." And Charlie was for it too. He was for it, and his people talked him out of it because they couldn't keep stealing from him.
At Russo67 on Twitter, why did such a talented Mets team only win one World Series?
The manager, Davey Johnson. He said
he was alcoholic.
Well, that's like most everybody in baseball is. But what I mean is, I mean, it's just part of the deal. You become a professional career. But wasn't that? He was an overrated, underachieving manager, and he made, when the decisions mattered, he didn't make them, and that's what matters, you know.
He learned at the feet of Earl Weaver, though.
Yeah,
a great manager.
Yeah, he did. But the problem with Davey is, okay, I'll give you a quick story. So 8 months ago, I'm at an autograph show. Davey Johnson happens to be there with me. This is weird. So usually you do the autograph show right by where you're staying. So we had to ride in a van, just me and him, for about an hour. And he was talking away, talking. So we got to the place. I said, "You know what, Davey? You talked more to me in this hour than you talked to me in the 6 years you managed me."
He didn't talk to his players?
No, I mean, when people say he was a player's manager, of course you're a player's manager when you're hung. Like, he's just, I mean, you never saw him. I mean, he had good players, but when he had to make the right decision, he didn't, and that had a direct effect on millions of people's lives from L.A. to New York.
Lenny, an honor.
It's an honor to be here.
I want to thank my guest, Lenny Dykstra. You can get a copy of his New York Times bestseller, House of Nails, a memoir of life on the edge. It's available everywhere. As always, you can find me on Twitter at King's Things. I'll see you next time. On Larry King Now, World Series champ Lenny Dykstra tells all in his new memoir, House of Nails.
If you're going to write a book, especially about your life, you have to be willing and able to put it at all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Why did you take steroids?
I physically didn't have the ability to withstand the schedule. I was too weak. I didn't figure out how to hit. I mean, no one had to teach me how to hit. But the bat started feeling like a telephone pole. Money was my drug. It became my drug. I wanted more, more, more. And so I got some reality real quick, you know.
Plus,
I mean, I'm serious. I watch baseball now, and I think they have milk and cookies in the clubhouse, you know.
It's all next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. My special guest is Lenny Dykstra, the former Major League Baseball All-Star center fielder. Lenny, known to many as Nails, took home the World Series championship in 1986. What a year with the famed New York Mets. Made a run to the World Series again in '93 with the Phillies when my team lost. He is now opening up about the highs and lows of his life on and off the field in his new book, House of Nails, a memoir of life on the edge, about which Stephen King said, tough, straight, upsetting, and strangely beautiful. One of the best sports autobiographies I have ever read. Strangely beautiful, Lenny.
It makes kind of sense because, first of all, it's an honor to be with you. I mean,
thank you, Lenny.
To be with a legend, like, I mean, so I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you.
Yeah, and then Stephen King, who says that's an honor and a privilege in and of itself, because he's, just like you're the best at what you do, he's the best at what he does. So, as you can tell, I only deal with whales. I only deal with the best.
All right, your book just made the New York Times bestseller list. Why did you write it?
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I was asked by a lot of people to write my book before, and I was never really ready to put it all out there. And if you're going to write a book, especially about your life, you have to be willing and able to put it at all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. So the last part of my life, I was in this hotel that the federal government owns, and they put me in their prison. 3 meals a day, health care, but it was kind of constricted. So what happens in prison is you have a lot of time to think, and that's not good, because what you do is you reflect on things that you think you had it all figured out, you think you were doing okay, but maybe you weren't. And so, again, so when I got out, I didn't write the book right when I got out. I mean, I just got off probation. I waited 3 years. I didn't do like a lot of people. I found God, and I'm great now. I mean, I haven't found God. I'm looking. Where is he? I don't know how that works, but I know one thing. I got the time behind me, and so I wrote this book because, and at first I talked to my family, though. I wanted them to know there were going to be some things come out that weren't going to be pretty.
You let it all out, right?
Yeah, I let it all out.